dish drainers, chopping boards, bath towels, shower curtains, bed sheet sets, curtain rods, living room sets, recliners, and dining room sets, mats and rugs, and so much more, all at unbeatable prices. Visit us today. We are located at the corner of Kennedy Avenue and Dame Eugenia Charles Boulevard, Roseau. Eastside Trading Limited, making a difference for you.
Good afternoon to you. Yes, I just came from the River Street area where the United Workers' Party, the Women of Wall, was having a lunch, raising funds. Proceeds will go towards, of course, the legal team assisting in the struggle. But before we go on this afternoon, I just want to make a special announcement. I call it special because for some time now, we've been hearing our brother from the Tower Street area referring to a phone. He said he played some game. I never played that game, but I think it was a raffle going on by the United Workers' Party, and I think it was not fair that they had advertised a phone and one was not given. Only the car was given. So this constant phone calls. One person in the diaspora decided that it's going to make, before this all continues, we're going to make this phone available. Let me say good afternoon to my brother. You can just, you want to say hi to me, sir?
Yeah.
All right, just bring the microphone to you closer, yes. Of course, and we have the phone here. Just identify yourself so I can, of course, for transparency purposes.
Okay.
Yes, what's your name?
My name is Franklin Germain. I come from the beautiful village of Cochrane.
Okay.
And I live at Tarish Street.
Okay.
And
I know you've been making an issue about the phone and the Workers' Party not giving the phone, and you said it's for transparency.
yes.
So you're happy to be receiving that phone today?
Well, I'm happy to receive the phone on the behalf of the person
Okay.
who donated to me,
Right.
but not on the behalf of any political party.
Mm-hmm.
And this phone there, I am not accepting it in any event of bribery.
Okay.
The guy, which of course I could call his name,
Mm-hmm.
that is Mr. Jerry
Mm-hmm.
Dorset.
He has been promising.
Yes, he has been promising it to me for the past year, and which of course I had to be on his back for promising it to me, which I didn't ask him. But I am very grateful for hearing my cry and hearing the truth. So then I am very grateful to him that he make his promise. Better late than never.
Okay. So on his behalf, I want to present you the telephone. Okay, sir?
Yes. So
thank you very much.
Let me say thank you very much,
Jerry?
to Jerry, and also my determination of speaking the truth and nothing but the truth. And as I said, I received this phone there in Lubrai. I received it through the cry of the guy, that is Jerry. And also I am telling the public that if you don't stand for your right will be abused. And this is why I have to make it clear that the phone raffle ticket, which of course I had bought the phone raffle ticket, and it wasn't calling, and I brought it to the attention of the Wesley Constituency Association, and they did not take heed of it. I also try my best to bring it to the association, the main guy, the main grouping, and which they say that they didn't know about it. But
again, we don't want to continue this because the phone has been given, and we want to say thank you for coming and, of course, receiving the phone from Mr. Jared Dossett, who heard my cry, and we agreed to give you a telephone. I want to say thank you very much for joining us this afternoon because we have to continue. Yeah,
I am strong and I'm a good figure, and I'm telling Dominic and always stand for the right.
Okay, caller. Thank you. Thank you, bro. Thank you. All right, hello. Talk to me on the telephone. Thank you. Yes, we have to go though.
Yes, Matt.
Yes.
Tell him and take the phone and go and shut up.
No. We can't allow that. Okay. Thank you. Mr. Jerry Dossett, thank you very much. I hope this is the end of the conversation. At this point, Dominica, we have to continue having the discussion, laying this matter of the phone to rest. Mr. Gabriel Christian seemed very, very concerned about what is going on in Dominica. A lot of groups have been making their voices known, enraged. But this afternoon, we're going to listen to the voice of Mr. Gabriel Christian and more as we continue to talk on the block.
Good morning, dearly beloved. I, as a person who was born on Dominica during the period of self-government after World War II, and whose family resided in the police service, father and grandfather were police officers, and who had the high honor and privilege of having represented police officers over the years, and the late Commissioner of Police Owen Phillip having been not only a sort of mentor of a sorts, having been a neighbor, but I had the honor of sitting with him over many years and being a friend of his and speaking at his funeral. And having been a cadet during the time he was Commissioner of Police, I want to send a sober warning to the officers and men of the Dominica Police Service that I dearly love. Commissioner, officers of the Dominica Police Service, the Dominican people are not your enemies. They are your fellow citizens. They are your family members. Do not allow yourselves to turn into a motley crowd of mobsters, gangsters, bandits, and militia of the Roosevelt-Skerritt regime because you've been told to do so. Do not brutalize your fellow citizens because you've been told to do so. It is wrong. And since the advent of self-government and the eradication of slavery, we had been evolving, sometimes with difficulty, to a better place. For instance, during the 1970s and the period of Black Power and the Dread movement, there were issues of police brutality. But never in that period were people roused out of their beds in late night raids and arrested and placed in jail in the manner that's happening now. I would like to take this moment to compare and contrast the way in which law enforcement operated when in 1974, 51 years ago, there was an uprising at Grand Bay. Grand Bay, which is now a footstool of this regime, which has lost its luster as Liberation City. What happened at Grand Bay? Well, after World War II, a Lebanese Dominican by the name of Elias Nassif bought an estate. And many Grand Bayrians were evicted from land that they occupied formerly on that estate from the days of slavery. And in the early 1970s, a movement arose in Grand Bay that was antagonistic to that treatment that was considered exploitative. The famous Grand Bay band later made a song, Puyo Koko. The Predial Lasny Act had made it a crime to take agricultural produce. Chubby, the singer, I believe, Grell, another person who I knew, both, I believe, were arrested. There was an uprising, therefore, in 1974 at Grand Bay. The state house was attacked, cattle carried away, coconut trees cut down, and the big Nassif general store at the area around the Rosa Market on King George V Street was burnt one morning, and I ran from my home in Didier Lane to see the fire engulfing that structure, which 51 years later is still in ruins. What was the response of the government of Dominica then, led by Edward Oliver LeBlanc? Well, first of all, a localized or selective state of emergency was declared by the governor, Sir Louis Coles-Latig, specific to Grand Bay and Grand Bay only. And the police and the defense force went to Grand Bay and they stayed at the Grand Bay Government School, and they did not attack the villagers. They did not shoot into homes. They did not say, advance, advance, pepper, pepper, as was said on the 19th March, 2025 in Roseau by a senior officer to the riot squad. There was no wanton and reckless discharge of firearms into homes or tear gas into homes, dousing the elderly in toxic fumes. None of that happened. Instead, one Inspector Bannis, whose family I know well, using clinical methodology, good investigative technique, arrested a gentleman by the name of, his nickname was UNICEF, and brought him into Roseau. With government intervention, Mr. LeBlanc and his ministers, including one H.L. Christian, who had started social welfare at London University, met with the villagers and brought matters to a quiet end. There were no mass arrest. There was no mass brutalization of the village of Grand Bay. It never happened. It never happened. Things were done within the law, and the citizens went about their business. Dominica moved forward. I want to take this moment to also state that in 1972, at the age of 11, I joined the Dominica Cadet Corps. And 2 years later, I became a member of the band. In the same year, 1974, there was a camp at La Plaine, alongside people like Major Twist Bertrand, Commandant of the Defense Force, Lennox Royer, who was then head of the SSU, that Special Service Unit of the Royal Dominica Police Force, and one young corporal by the name of Matthias Lestrade, who years later would help us revive the Dominica Cadet Corps when he served as commissioner, alongside Superintendent of Police Nicholas George. We camped at La Plaine. The band provided musical accompaniment for church parade, and the Defense Force and the SSU doing night exercises during what was then the Dread War. And that Sunday morning before we broke camp, there was a simulation of a riot. The riot squad was led by Lennox Roy. In that squad was Inspector Scary James. There was Lieutenant Malcolm Reed. There was Captain Frederick Newton. There was Corporal Howell Piper. There was Sergeant Major Ashton Benjamin. Many of those names are known to Dominicans at that time for matters that occurred later. But for purposes of this discussion, I will say that the cadets were made to take out our belts and our caps, and we were the simulated riot squad. And we were throwing little tufts of grass and pebbles while the entire cabinet of Patrick John, Vic Revere, H.L. Christian, and others were on a hilltop looking down at the simulated riot. And after we threw a few pebbles and other things, not to hurt because we were all part of the same team, we were just simulating a riot, Lennox Rouet read a proclamation that there was now a riotous assembly and that we should disperse or smoke would be used. And then a banner was unfurled that said, "Disperse or we smoke." And then when we did not, they charged us. They threw a few little smoke grenades. I was arrested. All of us were arrested. Well, not really arrested. It was a simulated event. It was a play acting sort of exercise. I only mention that to say that I did not, in viewing any of the tape, see any unfurling of a banner or hear any proclamation before tear gas was used on March 19th, 2025. I also will further state that I do not know that there was any declaration of state of emergency at Salisbury or any proclamation was made which would have legitimized any wholesale attack on that village. So basically what we have in Dominica is the use of state resources to bludgeon, to oppress Dominican people who stand up for right. And so as Dominicans, we must pivot now from simply talking about electoral reform to talking about human rights and the loss of human rights and other civil liberties by the Dominican people. Those human rights and civil liberties must be recovered, or what we will have facing us is a police state enforced by a police service that has lost its way and that increasingly will lose the respect of the citizenry that it requires the respect of if it is to competently and professionally execute its work. In conclusion, there is no reason that a police officer, whoever he is, and he must be arrested and tried, should have clobbered a young man or elderly man, I'm uncertain as to his age, knocked him to the ground and walk away. When before that, I saw no weapon in the hand of the person. I saw no stick. I saw him throwing no stones. He was walked upon, struck to the ground. I'm not sure if he was pistol whipped, fell to the ground. Police walked over him and kept walking. That is wrong and must be dealt with by the arrest of that officer and his prosecution to the fullest extent of the law. In conclusion, I ask all Dominicans to rally for a commission of inquiry into the attack on Salisbury, rally for the release and the dismissal of all charges against the political prisoners who've been arrested over the past week. And we ask again for the government of Dominica, Roosevelt Skerrit, if it is not prepared to resign, to cease and desist from its brutalization of the Dominican people and its dispossession of the Dominican people as we suffer a dong economy with a government dominated by foreign money launderers who have placed monies belonging to the state outside the consolidated fund and otherwise have relegated the Dominican people to second-class citizenship.
Thank you, Mr. Gabriel Christian, Dominican lawyer again based in Washington. So the world is watching. Interestingly, I got a report last night, I suspect, and may have been circulated around the world as well. Let's listen for a minute.
evening. This is Clarity News TV. I'm Brandon Paul. It's now a week since a major protest rocked the Capitol. Dominican authorities are still arresting and jailing demonstrators who took to the streets on March 19th to oppose what critics call a toxic parliamentary bill. The legislation in question is believed to include provisions that would allow the ruling Labor Party to secure a majority through what some have described as vote-buying mechanisms. The bill sparked public outrage, culminating in a mass protest that was forcefully dispersed by police using tear gas and rubber bullets. What began as a peaceful demonstration has turned into a prolonged crackdown. According to eyewitnesses and civil society groups, law enforcement continues to detain key protesters under the authority of the Riot Act of 1897, a colonial-era law widely criticized for being incompatible with modern human rights standards. This law, which has been used in the past to stifle public demonstrations, directly contravenes Dominica's Constitution and the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, ICCPR, to which Dominica is a party. In 2020, the United Nations Human Rights Committee, HRC, expressed deep concern.
All right, we'll come back to that in a minute.
Over Dominica's use of excessive force during protests and its failure to reform outdated legislation. The committee encouraged the government to bring laws like the Riot Act in line with international human rights standards and to ensure the protection of civil and political rights, including the right to peaceful assembly, especially the establishment of a national human rights institution. Listen as Mr. C.A. Bulkin frames some key questions.
And I note these replies. But I wanted to add as well that these events in February and May of 2017 do not appear to be isolated. From the information that we've received, in fact, that they are a part of a pattern of, perhaps, a pattern of the use of excessive force by the police. Most recently, Ambassador, the regional security system officers of the Dominica Police Force raided a densely populated area in Salisbury in the early hours of December 5th, 2019, which was the day before the general election, and throwing tear gas throughout the community. This attack apparently started at about 4 a.m. and continued for about 8 hours, ending around midday. It caused, from my information, many persons, especially the elderly, who were trapped in their homes to suffer extreme distress and suffering. In the course of this operation, 2 villagers were apparently shot by the police. In light of the fact that these appear, as I said, to be recurring incidents, and from our information, 2007, 2017, February, 2017, May, and the 2018, 2019, December, this might perhaps indicate an institutional problem. So I would respectfully like to know if you could tell us whether there are any guidelines on the use of force by law enforcement, including standards that must be adhered to by them.
The United Nations Human
What's going on? Trying to see what's going on there. I'll come back to that. My telephone seems to be giving some issues here. But again, we just received a letter there. I think it was this morning from the Caribbean Democratic Union that I want to share with you this afternoon. Of course, Richie Farrell is presenting that letter.
In a letter dated March 28, 2025, written by the Caribbean Democratic Union CDU, and is titled CDU strongly condemns the arrest and detention of opposition members in Dominica, reads, the Caribbean Democratic Union CDU is gravely alarmed by the recent reports emerging from the Commonwealth of Dominica regarding the arrest and detention of members of the political opposition, including Mr. Johnson Boston, who were exercising their constitutional right to peacefully protest and raise legitimate concerns about the state of electoral reform in the country. Electoral reform is critical to the integrity of the electoral process and the administration of free and fair elections in Dominica. This blatant abuse of state power is not only unconscionable, it is undemocratic and deeply dangerous. The arrest of citizens for exercising their rights to freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, and the peaceful protest is a direct affront to the democratic principles enshrined in the Constitution of Dominica. We are witnessing what appears to be a disturbing and deliberate trend, the use of the machinery of the state as a tool of political victimization and intimidation. This erosion of democratic norms signals a dark and dangerous turn, one that should alarm every right thinking Dominican and every citizen of the Caribbean who believes in justice, accountability, and the rule of law. Let it be clearly stated political dissent is not a crime. Speaking out against the government is not a crime. Assembling to peacefully protest is not a crime. These are the hallmarks of a functioning democracy, not threats to it. The heavy handed actions of the authorities in Dominica bear the hallmarks of authoritarian regimes and dictatorships that have no place in the Caribbean. This is not just a local issue, it is a regional issue. The preservation of democracy in one Caribbean nation is shared responsibility of all. We therefore call on the President of the Commonwealth of Dominica to immediately uphold the Constitution, denounce these scare tactics, and ensure that the fundamental rights and freedoms of all Dominicans, regardless of political affiliation, are protected and preserved. We further call on all democratic forces, civil society actors, religious leaders, regional organizations, including the OECS, and the people of Dominica, especially the youth, to unite in full condemnation of these abuses. Silence in the face of injustice is complicity. Now is the time to speak out. Democracy in Dominica is under threat. We must defend it.
On the telephone with me just for a few minutes, and it's a very busy time, is the leader of the United Workers' Party, Dr. Thompson Fontaine. Dr. Thompson Fontaine, what is the latest information on the ground in terms of people being arrested?
Matt, I'm happy to say that all of those who have been arrested the past 2 days have been released on bail. The last one was done this morning. The gentleman from Torrendo, from Petit Supria, sorry.
Okay.
So he's now been released on bail. But we are also learning as well that Crispin Piper of Cox Street, Roseau, may have been arrested a few minutes ago. We still trying to confirm that reporting, but that's what has been reported to me, that he's now under police custody.
I wouldn't be surprised, Thompson, because just about a little after 11 o'clock, he was walking next to Wade Church, and he approached me. He said, well, he was told that the police were looking for him. So he went to the police station and said, well, I heard you were looking for me, but he was not arrested then. So maybe subsequent to that, they may have picked him up. But that's the information he gave me when I saw him about after 11 this morning.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting to know. But Matt, it is quite shocking to me, though, that after all of the focus that has been placed on the police of Dominica, Valerie and his men, from Valerie down, heavy focus has been placed on them by regional and international agencies. He's talking about Amnesty International, the UN Human Rights Commission, every conceivable rights body in the world looking at what is going on. I've received calls from Grenada, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Lawyers there are offering their services to help us do the petitions that are necessary to prosecute those police officers. And yet they continue as if they are a world and a law unto themselves. They're still there arresting people. They're still there violating people's fundamental human rights. You have magistrates in courts basically legislating against persons' rights that are confirmed under the Constitution. It is madness, complete and total madness. And these guys, these officers need to understand that there are consequences for this kind of behavior. The world is very intolerant of these types of practices, especially when police appear to be going rogue, when they're simply doing the bidding of the masters. You know, I'm hoping and praying that our police in Dominica, the same way they go and it's the same vigor and the energy that they go after innocent, law-abiding Dominicans, retired nurses who have served the country, retired politicians, former senators in the House, former members of parliament, the same energy and zeal that they go after upstanding Dominican citizens, they will use that same energy to go after the criminal elements in our society, because that is what they are being paid for by taxpayers. And it continues to be a disgrace, the behavior of these police officers. It continues to be, their actions are condemned by every human rights thing you can think. Dominica is a signatory to the Human Rights Convention of 1958. We are signatory, so that means we must abide by that. If they want to disregard the Constitution of Dominica, they need to understand that the Human Rights Convention gives those rights to us as Dominicans to express ourselves, to stand up. And when we are directly confronted, when those rights are to be taken away from us, there are consequences, especially when it is coming from the instruments of the state. They need to stop these one-time arrests. You heard Mr. Gabriel earlier. They need to stop these arbitrary arrests of persons who are simply going about their business of protesting against this government.
Well, Thompson, while this, as you said, it is arresting continues, we're hearing news internationally. The world is again paying attention to Dominica. That the European Parliament (EU) committee is advancing proposals to cut visa-free access for CBI countries. We need to be worried about that.
Max, yes, because now Dominica is a rogue state, man. They're looking at Dominica as a rogue state. So if there was any chance that the Europeans would have reconsidered, contrary to that, they're now moving forward. As you rightly indicated, they're a committee that is looking at this whole CBI and withdrawal of visa access. They have now advanced it. They're now saying they agree that Dominica should be removed. Not only Dominica, but the 5 Caribbean countries that have the CBI programs should no longer be allowed visa-free access. So the final recommendation has been made to the European Parliament. It will be taken up by the European Parliament and voted upon. And once the European Parliament votes, and if they vote in favor, that is it for us. No longer will we have visa-free access to the European Union. So all of that is happening when the world is being focused on Dominica. I was just in touch with the Miami Herald this morning.
You said the Miami Herald?
Miami Herald, yes.
Wow.
Because news reporters, they heard of what happened in Dominica, they want to get a perspective. Okay? So what this tells me, Matt, is that the world is focusing on Dominica. Those images of police beating up on hopeless protesters is all over the world. And our police need to take note. They need to understand that what they're doing is wrong.
I can tell you that, a few media houses call me Jamaica, Barbados, and maybe Grenada wanted to get in touch with me yesterday because they just want the story. That's the biggest story in the region for the time.
Yes, Matt, it is. It's in every. If you just do a search of Dominica now on YouTube, it's in every news report in every Caribbean country, and now it is going beyond that. I would not be surprised if this very unfavorable rating that you're now getting has something to do with the behavior of this government. It clearly is a rogue government, Matt, it's just turning to me that we're having this, and I'm glad, Matt, that the Prime Minister Mia Motley reconsidered sending RSS troops, because she did tell me in her response to the letter that I wrote to her that they did not deploy troops to Dominica this time, although they got the request, because the Prime Minister said that he was making the request because of the security situation in Dominica. But as I said, as I said in my letter, there is no security situation. A little skirmish between the police. And if you notice, Matt, and that's what I keep stressing, if you notice what happened in that skirmish, these protesters, they were shaking the barriers. Not one protester tried to harm the police officers who were there. The police men who were on the forefront, not one of them got hurt. Not one of them got slapped or in the melee or anything. They were fighting over the barriers, and to go to that extreme that they went in firing tear gas, hitting people with rubber bullets. One of the guys that was hitting his knee is still in his bed. He can't walk. He's a construction worker. He's not been able to work now for 2 full weeks because of the bullet that he got in his knee. And to escalate further, to be hunting people down all over the country, taking them from their homes, sometimes at night. It's just not fair. It's not right what these people are doing. And as I said, these are violations. I keep stressing, these are violations of basic fundamental human rights, and there are consequences, especially when it is coming from state actors.
Yesterday I spoke about it, and I found out a little more. The one of the persons, I think it's Clementina from the Tarashpit area. She was one of the persons in the cell, and her daughter is a police officer, and I don't think she's very pleased about what happened there. I'm seeing that from so it's very concerning.
But not only that, her mom, the same Clementina you're talking about, she fell ill. She fell ill in the police cells, was vomiting, and it had to take the other guys who were there in the cell to scream and shout at the police to give us some attention. It took them several minutes to get the attention of the police to let them know that this lady had fallen ill and was vomiting. And so she vomited for over an hour. I mean, intermittently for over an hour.
Yes.
Before she was taken some medical attention. Okay, now why are you doing that? These are violations of human rights. You have women in cells that has no separate toilets. So there's a women's quarters, but it has no toilet facilities, no bathroom, no toilet. And these are people who have not been found guilty in the court of law. These are people who before were going about their business as outstanding Dominican citizens, have never committed a crime before, have never had any run-in with the law, and you're subjecting them to those kinds of conditions. That's exactly what we're talking about.
Somebody's asking a question, Thompson, which I think is a genuine and fair question. Will the monies raised be used to help the freedom fighters, those who may not be in a job as we speak because they were injured?
Matt, the monies raised are probably just enough. Probably not. It's not even enough, I believe, for the legal fees, because we have to pay the lawyers to defend those who have been arrested. Plus, we are mounting a very vigorous challenge to this riot act that we have. We are going to the court.
So the person is really suggesting that we need to do more in terms of contributing more, because the freedom fighters who are now, they can't work at this time because of the injuries that they received. We need to raise some monies for these people.
Absolutely. We have established that fund, and we would encourage, people, not because we are no longer doing a radio fund, that people should not give. Those who have not yet given, we're encouraging them to do so. They can drop those off at the party's office. They can also go online and they can do the mobile banking. So online, they want to go to uwp-dominica.com. That's uwp-dominica.com and click on donate. And then for the mobile banking, it is, I'm going to give the number so that you can get the mobile banking number. That's 100-5636. Very easy to remember. 100-5636. And the ID 5552242. So there are different ways that people can keep contributing. As you can see, man, the numbers of people being arrested keep growing, and it does not look as if the police are co-regime.
I'll tell you that because one police officer retired is now talking to me, and he says, "Man, it disgusts me that police officers who came into the force after me has disgraced themselves. Don't forget that you're only a police officer once and a civilian twice. Wake up, people, wake up. This is time for action against the government." This is a police officer, a former police officer talking to me.
Absolutely. And Matt, there's a lot of sentiments like this. I've been hearing from individuals, similar types of sentiments. And I would just like to urge the young officers, if you want to serve your country, do not obey these unlawful orders to have you go and arrest people. That is wrong. These are unlawful orders, and you should be able to stand against any unlawful order coming from on top. This is not coming from your police directorate. These are orders that have been issued by the political directorate, and these orders should not be obeyed. And I'm hearing that a number of officers are standing up, and I want to thank them for that. Those officers who are refusing to act, I want to thank those good officers who are standing up, but we need more of you to stand up. Let these people understand that you are there to protect and serve the people of Dominica, not to be weaponized against them, because that's exactly what is going. You can imagine the kind of trauma, man, that is being caused. This gentleman who was just released this morning, he suffers from seizures, yet he was kept in a cell for 3 whole days, suffering from seizures. There's a complete disregard for people's rights. There's absolutely no need for those arrests. They could have done, if they wanted to bring people before the court, they could have done through summons. You send a summons and tell them to appear in court on that day. The idea of arresting people is just to add pain and suffering. It is so obvious that what the police are doing is meant to inflict pain and suffering on the people that have been arrested. Because they're not arresting them at 6 in the morning and letting them off at 10. They're keeping them for 3, 4, 5, 6 days, as they did in the case of the first time that were arrested. Keeping them for almost a week, just so they are subjected to the dehumanizing condition that exists in the police cells in Dominica. The cells are filthy. They are not fit for human habitat, yet they are bringing people there so that they can be subjected to those awful conditions, the stench of feces, of urine. It's all over. You can't sleep. It is hot. Mosquitoes are biting you. But they subject people to those conditions for nothing other than they stand up for their rights under Article 1B of the Constitution. So who is wrong? Who is at fault there? So that is not good. It is certainly a blight on our police force. And those leaders must and should be held accountable for what they're doing in violation of the human rights of Dominicans and their behavior. And let me just add by saying that I'm very thankful for the regional persons in the region who have been reaching out the way they have been, reaching out with their concerns. I mean, my phone is basically ringing off the hook, just expressing concern.
I saw you on a special program last night with St. Lucia.
With St. Lucia, yes, Matt, and I've done the same in St. Vincent. I've done the same in St. Lucia. I'm gearing up to do one in Antigua. I'm going back to the one with Grenada again. That has even a bigger reach. That one is to the Grenadian diaspora that I'm going to be talking to, Grenadians who mainly live in the diaspora. So the word is going out. The behavior of the Dominica police is under scrutiny, and it does not look good. It does not look good in terms of the way these police officers are behaving.
So, Thompson, the attention of the world is our focus right now for the always the wrong reason, huh? Obviously, the wrong reasons.
For the wrong reason, man. Absolutely, all the wrong reasons. All the wrong reasons. Because if it's one thing the world does not like is where it seems that law and order is turned upside down, and your police force appears to be going rogue. No country likes that because it's a slippery slope that no country wants to see, and that seems to be where we are.
Thompson Fontaine, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great weekend. We're still looking and waiting. Who else is in the police radar? A family friend called me, earlier, concerned that I think a friend. Let me see what I can read at this. Having a great laugh, Somebody hiding under the name Denise Tech, I think it is, or Denise Lake, asking the police to look out for me. Well, I'm here 24/7. Well, please expose yourself. My name is Mal Peltier, okay? Just in case you don't know. I don't have to hide any fake name. So don't hide on Facebook, okay? Miss Denise Lake there. I'm sure you will be exposed. I see your pictures parading with the First Lady, right? Or parading the First Lady. So you can't hide. The cameras are watching. 2:25 is the afternoon time on the radio. Let's take a phone call. Yes, hello. Yes.
Good afternoon to you, Matt, and how do you do?
My brother, how you doing?
Very good, very good. Matt, let me first of all really congratulate Honorable Thompson Fontaine for the work that he's doing. I mean, he's shown that he has the mettle, he has the ability and capacity, and really taking this matter to the region and international airwaves, and the willingness to know, because, I mean, while this is going on in Dominica, the government is painting a picture that all is well. And so the work that he's doing, and many other persons who, including the ERC, and many other supporters and other persons in the party, I really appreciate the work that they do on behalf of the people. One thing while the world is focused on Dominica, with what is going on with this rogue government, one thing the world will not say is that the United Workers' Party has abandoned the Bible. The world will not say the ERC has not abandoned the Bible. The many patriotic Dominicans here and abroad, they have not abandoned the Bible. Those locally who have been contributing to the foreign and overseas, they have not abandoned the Bible. The good lawyers who have been coming out, they have not abandoned the people. The media houses in Dominica, except for a few, they have not abandoned the people. So I think there is strength, there is hope. There is some sort of redress coming, and this government will pay for the action. Of course, they think right now they have the power to do what they want to do. And illegally, they're doing these things. And I'm really disgusted with that. And to me now, Matt, I don't know what exams the policemen take before they become a police officer. But it seems to me that the exams need to be upgraded. And it needs to be upgraded and centered around the law of Dominica or the laws of Dominica. Because it seems to me a lot of officers in the force, they do not even understand the Constitution as it relates to protest action, as it relates to the Noise Abatement Act, as it relates to the Public Order Act, and many Peace Act, and many other acts. And I believe they are doing this because they are getting directives from the political directorate. And they are not actually looking at the laws and use their discretion. We're supposed to tell the political directorate, based on what exists in law, you cannot act in this way. This is discriminatory. You're acting as if an arrest is a conviction. An arrest is not a conviction. Let the court do its work, and the court will act accordingly. The way the policemen behaving as those top criminals are behaving with. But remember the other day we had a problem when the Prime Minister of Dominica said, there's a racketeering taking place in the immigration department.
I remember.
And then you remember that well. And you know what was his response? Fix it. Imagine this. He said he could go to the police. He had the option to go to the police. But you know what he said publicly and to the world? Fix it. Fix it. I mean, if you know racketeering is taking place in your immigration department or in your the department responsible for
labor
and so.
Yes.
How could you say fix it? The police supposed to be involved, but he maybe feel that the people who are there probably pro-government and so, and then you rather fix it as opposed to get the police. But look at that, innocent people assembled in a peaceful assemble, and then here it is that see the onslaught on the people, see the kind of treatment the Salisbury people have been getting, and so Matt, it is really becoming something of concern, and I'm happy that this matter has been taken to the region, the extra-regional, and international. So Dominicans, rest assured that you are not alone, patriotic Dominicans. Rest assured you are not alone. We are fighting this thing with you. We are fighting this together. We are in this together. And until such time that we do not get redressed with that matter, that unnecessary onslaught on the people of Dominica, we will not rest our laurels. So Dr. Thompson, Fontaine, and all the other persons who have been doing very good, we want to thank you for the work that you've been doing. Matt, you can attest that no one has neglected the patriots of Dominica. Will you say yes?
Yes, I will.
Okay, then. Have a good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Somebody said, Matt, I'm a senior citizen, and I cried yesterday after seeing this lady, Clementina, being released from the torments and persecution of the state. These tears are not in vain. How can you put this lady in the cell? I know for sure I can take it to the bank. She's not happy with the way her mother was treated by her colleagues. Hello, talk to me on the telephone. Yes, good morning.
I say love, life, light, healing, joy, gratitude, courage, and sacrifice. Mr. Pelter, blessings on your family, sir.
Blessings to you, sir.
Matthew, thank you. I accept, I receive, and boom again, right back to you. Matt, did you follow instructions, Matt, with what I told you for the news?
Yes, I did.
And continue to do it. Don't cool out, all right?
All right, my partner. Thank you.
Matt, let me say something. Matt, you see, Skerrit, Blackmore, and Anthony Wadiasta fans. Roosevelt Skerrit, Anthony Wadiasta fans, and Rayburn Blackmore, whatever his name is there. Matt, you see these free people, and I know it have lawyers, passport wheelers, and dealers, and all of them that are there. The advisors, they're brainstorming, and, they have think tanks. Remember the guys from Barbados? Matt, remember them?
I remember
Peter
them.
Whitman, Ashley Henry, Anthony Hayden, and the Chinese. Matt, I saw the Chinese on 3 occasions about 10, 12 years ago. In my visions, Matt, in military fatigue. Some of them, they paint, Matt, military men like to disguise their faces with some kind of paint or something.
Green paint, more or less, yes.
Green paint and black paint, and almost in the same military fatigue, having to do with the clothing. I saw them once with a truck, like with the arch, a real military truck. And I was sitting in between them, Matt. Once I saw them saying, Joy was arrested by Haywood Hall there for smoking a little piece of joint. They came through by Haywood there on naval vessels, Matt. Another time I see them all in St. Joseph Bush with red patch on the shoulders, Matt. And I was secretly hiding in the bush and observing the Chinese. Matt, I did not go and call Chinese, no, Matt. These are my visions, Matt. Another time I see we kicking a black ball. No, they were kicking a black ball with some long boots way under their knee. And when the black ball go over a prison fence, Matt, we were in line going upstairs with our toothbrushes and bath towel. And the Chinese send, not me, but they send somebody to go outside of the fence and get the black football, and they continue to kick it. Matt, let me tell you something. You see me? Don't bother with me. Don't bother with anything I say. I used to say a thing about, you and I and others will not be able to articulate as clearly or as skillfully as time will, for time is the healer, the revealer. You remember that one, Matt?
Yes, I remember.
Time has dawned upon us. And a lot of foolishness I talk, coincidentally, they came to pass, or accidentally. And I am watching Dominica, Matt. is two things in closing. It's either Skerrit want to just be naked like the emperor that wear no clothes. Yes, that's why I'm a beast. Only time of smiling and pretending if audio. Or the Chinese have him in his balls, Matt, or in his testicles. Can you say balls on the radio, Matt? You know, football, like cricket ball and all of that. In his testicles, Matt, and squeezing him and tell them our agreement. It needs to materialize in a more strategic and obvious and, brutal way. I tell you about the Chinaman Square, the Chinese massacre in the Chinaman Square. And the Chinese need Dominica because they are in competition with America. All those ignorant people are talking about the Chinese have no desire to take over the world. They don't understand empire, Matt. And it is so sad. Let me congratulate Dr. Fontaine because I saw him, Matt, on some original thing, talking about what is happening in Dominica, the CBI and the brutality and all of that. So congratulations, Dr. Fontaine, because me might have asking once upon a time, I know they used to, even Martin, I even met with sometimes, like Sherman Beak, I know Matt used to get Sherman Beak and we used to get some, and I was still a little hopeful lately, I said, the whole region put Dominica down, maybe they get them paid to put us down. Why Matt, it is sad, and Dominicans, we have to fight, and I almost regret him, but the universe and the Holy Spirit, the Most High, did not wanted me to be there. But not today I want to get arrested, no, you. I didn't know how much I want to get arrested. Matt, thanks for your time, Dominicans. Build up your courage, your bravery. Do not allow Chinese and Skerrit and Anthony Hayden and all of them.
Blessings before you go. You want the protest?
No, Matt, I was in pain that morning. I don't know for what is the reason.
Okay.
And I say I didn't want to take drugs to come there. So I just, and when I meet you, I can tell you another reason why I did not come. And I'm glad I did not come.
Okay, later. Bye-bye. All right, thank you. It's 2:35. We're going to take a quick break and we'll come back, Dominica, after this. Stick around.
Now available at ESA Trading Limited Showroom Department, a wide range of household items and accessories. Plates in porcelain, ceramic, clear and colored. Bowls in glassware, plastic and porcelain. Pot sets and frying pan sets. Glasses for all occasions. Knife sets and cutlery. Water jugs and storage containers. Wooden spoon sets. Dish strainers. Chopping boards. Bath towels, shower curtains, bed sheet sets, curtain rods, living room sets, recliners, and dining room sets, mats and rugs, and so much more. All at unbeatable prices. Visit us today. We are located at the corner of Kennedy Avenue and Dame Eugenia Charles Boulevard, Roseau. ESA Trading Limited, making a difference for you.
Time is of the essence, and I've got a lot of voice notes to play at this time. Let me check out Mr. Lennon Matthew for a few minutes here.
Matt Pelty, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon to you.
To your listeners, Lennon here again. The fight must continue, Matt Pelty. The fight must continue on the airwaves. The fight must continue on the ground. But Matt Pelty, while I listened to Dr. Thompson Fontaine speak, and he indicated a request was made for sending RSS to Dominica. But Matt Pelty, you know what came to my mind? Interestingly enough, the Prime Minister was talking about the security situation, requesting the RSS, but there was never a state of emergency declared in Dominica. And if the security situation was of so much grave concern, why was not there a state of emergency declared? Because deep down there was no real need for it. And we understand that the police has to ensure the safety of property, private property, but the police also has to ensure that the people have a right to express themselves according to what the Constitution has given them: the right to freedom of expression, the right to disagreeing with their government. And if there was so much of a security situation that will warrant that kind of request, the highest security level in the Caribbean, a state of emergency would have to have been declared. And when that state of emergency is declared, then there are conditions that people should stay home or whatever the case may be. And when that state of emergency is violated, then the police would have had to use whatever necessary means for compliance with that state of emergency. But you just cannot issue a state of emergency just for issuing a state of emergency case. It has to be warranted and absolutely the last resort. So you didn't issue a state of emergency. The police, neither the president, issued a state of emergency. But you're charging people for riot, which makes absolutely no sense. And like I've said before, why are we using that law from 1897 when the country who implemented that law has deemed it unconstitutional in England, and we are trying to use that today to subjugate and oppress people? Malpeltier have said before, the former colonizers left and they left a plantation system. And the new masters in Dominica are pulling the strings of the puppet Roosevelt is carrying. Malpeltier, the courts of Dominica, the court building belongs to the people of Dominica. The police headquarters belong to the people of Dominica. Every government institution really belongs to the people of Dominica, not the Labour Party. And it seems like at this point, the police force believes it's an arm of the Labour Party. And I'm going to say it, Matt Peltier, and people can call it what it wants. But when the plantation and the slaves on the plantation understood that the plantation and the revenues were not used for their advancement, you know what they did, Matt Peltier? They revolted and burned down the plantation. And I'm saying that when a government in this plantation system no longer works for the interests of the people, when the government is advancing foreigners' interests over the interests of Dominicans who have bled, sweat, and worked hard to be free and independent in their own country, when a people are oppressed by their own institution and the institution is no longer working for their best interest, like the days of the slavery, that plantation has to be burned down. And any semblance of an institution that is used against the people is a diseased, cancer, infirmed institution that needs to be burned down and rebuilt. So the revolution has to continue because as far as I'm concerned, nobody in Dominica signed up for a dictatorship. And when people are using archaic laws of oppression, post-constitutional period, to oppress people's constitutional right, then that system is no longer working for the people. And the only way to repair it, only way to remove the cancer that is invading our governance is to give it some good radiation, good chemotherapy, take out the old dirty cells, and make sure you have regeneration of new good cells and proper oversight of our governance. I will say it again. From what I've seen, Roosevelt's carrot needs to be removed by force if necessary, because he has proven in the last 25 years to be serving his interests and nothing else. And when that government turns against its people, it has to be removed, Matt Peltier.
Lennon Matthew from the village of Benz. $242 is the 242, 239. Hello, sorry. Hello, talk to me.
Good afternoon, Mr. Matt.
How are you? How are you?
Good. This afternoon, I'd like to address the diaspora voters. to tell them that. Do they realize that they are the cause of all this chaos in Dominica? Is that the Dominica they would like to come back to? Because all this talk about electoral reform is about not allowing people to come back to vote when they're not eligible. Right now, what is happening in the island? Chaos, arrest. Where are you? Overseas. You know? And this man is living here, going overseas, campaign. I saw him in St. Martin the other day, all in red. They left the island because things are so tough. But they are taking tickets to come down here to vote. And that is the crux of the matter. Dominicans overseas is the problem. Those who come down to vote. If you do have a right, fine. If you don't, then. I lived overseas. If you miss 2 election cycles, your name gets off the list. Period. We're talking about 2-year cycles. But here, I know people that been overseas for 40, 50, 60 years coming down to vote. Where does that happen anywhere? Is it happening in the region? Antigua, St. Lucia, St. Vincent? No. Why are the leaders not disciplining one of them? Nobody. Are they helping through the RSS? Yes, they do. And that's where we have the collision. Because on the one hand, their countries are running fine because they have the proper electoral processes in place. What is happening in Dominica happened before. It's been happening now for more than 15 years. We've been fighting. In 2019, they sent down the RSS, And in 2025, he requested the RSS, as Lennon was just saying, even without a state of emergency being declared. What are we? Do we always continue to be harassed? I say to the police chief, as many other callers have said, you do not take unlawful orders from political authority. And when you do it, you will be held personally liable for the action. And what happened on the streets on Wednesday? Police officers' behavior? I am so sorry, but they will have to pay for the actions. Thank you,
At Bloombox, we now carry and are fully stocked in granola fertilizers. Urea 46%, great for leafy green 15-15-15, great for all vegetables or young fruit trees 20-20-20, best for foliar spray and seedings and small vegetables 12-12-17, great for tree crop or flowering vegetables and fruits 12-24-12, root crop fertilizer like dasheen and white potato 12-4-28, great for tree crops or flowering vegetables and fruits. Red potash for fruit trees and vegetables. All the fertilizers you need are available at Bloombox, located on Federation Drive, Goodwill, second property on the right after the Valley Link Road. Your one-stop shop for everything that grows. Let's bloom together.
Dominicans, enjoy your property, protect your property. You homeowner and businessman, protect your property, enjoy your property. Can't wait for the hurricane, can't wait till your flood again, can't wait till your roof fly out and all your business coming out. Remember, no insurance company will insure your property when a storm is approaching. Get ahead of the hurricane season. Insure with a company who gives you the assurance of payment for your valid claim. Come speak with us today at the New India Assurance Company Limited, upstairs AC Shillingford and Company Limited, 24 King George Street, Roseau. Bring along an up-to-date valuation from a qualified engineer and get insured today.
All right, Dominica, we're here, and of course, this is the Talk on the Block. We have just about 50 minutes remaining there on this program, but I've been making contact with Mr. Andy Jolly. He's not in Dominica at this time, but he's overseas, very concerned about what's happening in Dominica. You know, he's a very outspoken person. So, Mr. Jolly, good afternoon to you. How you doing?
Good afternoon, Matt. I'm doing good. How is everything going so far?
I guess you've been observing and seeing for yourself.
You know, Matt, it's been going around the world, and the news is not very positive coming from Dominica right now. It's sad to see what we're doing to our brothers and sisters down there. And the world is looking, and it's hard when the diaspora, like we're called, is outside, and we can't help the people inside. But I think our government, has to take a new approach to things, and they need to take a better look at things and make sure that the people, and I think we have one fundamental problem, Matt, right now, and it's that I think our political leaders, namely Roosevelt Skerritt, has forgotten that he's working for the people of Dominica, and he's not working for himself or any special interest. And right now, it's showing off, and the leaders around the Caribbean are watching it, and they're observing what's going on. So the news is getting out. It's definitely making wrongs in the Caribbean. People are talking about it. It's hard to tell people that you're from Dominica again, So, but what are you guys seeing down there, on the ground, Matt?
Well, for the past few days, a few of the patriots have been arrested and placed in jail cells, and this is basically what has been going on for the week. And take them to the cells, and the bail. The process continues, and every day seems.
Yeah, but Matt, when they take our brothers and sisters to jail, what are they gonna do? What are we gonna do? Are we gonna waste more money on more litigation again? Because we've done this before. We've been through this for the last several years. We've cried a few of the opposition leaders before, and we've seen that's gotten us nowhere. And right now money is very tight, costs are going up, and we're showing the world that what we're really doing is wasting funds, wasting money, and wasting time. How do we expect people to help us if we put ourselves in such a predicament? How do we expect people to take us seriously when we're on an international stage right now, where things are getting so tight? Right now, people are asking and demanding clarity. They're demanding integrity. They're demanding, that we use things properly. So how are they going to take us seriously if we do things like that? So the political leaders really have to come out and make a statement and show that they are really leading for the people. No more can we hide behind these fake curtains that we've had before, because everybody has a cell phone. Everybody's able to see. Everybody's able to judge now what's really going on.
And Andy, somebody's telling me this morning the investors are looking, and the climate we are portraying at this time is not the best for investors to look at.
Well, it's not. It's not even for visitors to look at, Matt. We're in the peak of the cruise season right now, and this is what we're showing the people, that we're unstable, hostile, politically motivated country. So what are we trying to do here? We're shooting ourselves in our foots. So and you know what, Matt, is most I think disgusting to many of us. None of the leaders of the Labour Party have come out. Remember, Mr. Blackmore was a frequent caller to the station when we were talking about things, and he disappeared into the bush. And we've not heard from him. We've not heard from Mr. Roosevelt Skerritt as to exactly what his plans are. It's like everybody's hush-hush, and everybody's hoping that this will be swept under the rug and go away. And we're hunting down people in the middle of the night. We're putting them in jail. For what? For what? And you're charged or you're arrested with what crime, you know? So we need to really look at what we're doing, because this is not the picture that we want to send to the rest of the world. This is almost a communistic picture that we're sending. People are trying to get along. People are trying to stop wars. People are trying to negotiate. You know, it would be as simple for Mr. Roosevelt Skerrit to pick up his phone and call the leaders of the opposition and to call the people who are the deal makers and say, okay, let's sit down and work this out. But instead, he hides like a coward. Why? Why are we doing this? This is not going to get us anywhere.
So
this is not progress.
So you're saying,
we need leaders that can discuss and negotiate and come to some reasonable agreement without loss of life or loss of material, without interruption in labor. We already don't have the best economy.
But your solution,
so Matt, you were saying?
I say your solution is for the leaders of Dominica to put a united front as we move forward.
But that is what we have to do in order for things to move, Matt. I think if the leaders are smart, especially Mr. Skerritt right now, seeing the predicament that he's in, take a look at these things and say, hey, I need to sit with the opposition. I need to sit and find out what the people need. Because this tactic where he's going along his merry way and doing what he wants for himself is obviously not going to settle well with the people of Dominica. And he should know that. So why don't we create a solution that's going to work? If he's a true patriot and he's truly interested in seeing Dominica progress, this is what must be done. We must get to the table. Roosevelt Skerritt must get to the table. Thompson Fontaine must get to the table. The electoral reform people need to get to the table. And we need to have a meeting of the minds. This is not good progress. This does not show up well. We are looking like tribal slaves or tribal cannibals in Dominica right now, because this is what we're doing. We're fighting with stones. We have tear gas. We have rubber bullets. We have violence. What are we doing with this in the 20th century? Aren't we a little bit more educated than that right now, Matt? Don't you think?
I think your solution is a good solution and a way to go, Mr. Andy Jolly. Good afternoon to you, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Put the politics aside and let's focus on building country on a united front. That's the only way. On the telephone, yes?
Matt, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Matt, you know what Mr. Jolly says makes sense, but Mr. Jolly must not forget that Roosevelt Skerritt is a narcissist. He mustn't forget that. And narcissists are very sensitive. You'll notice every time Roosevelt Skerritt goes through something, he always talks about they were respectful or they were not respectful. And if they're not respectful, they're not going to get anywhere with me.
Well, let's see where he goes with this time, of course, and this solution. In other words, let's see if he can have a change of mind given the description you just gave him there about the narcissist. Hello, talk to me on the telephone, yeah?
Matt, just quickly, I want to comment all the lawyers, Matt.
Yes.
I want to comment all the lawyers, Matt, all the contributors of the fundraising and all of that, Lord, glory be to them. And Joshua Francis, Johnson Boston, Thompson Fontaine, that is one of the three political leaders, Matt, of the country. I want them to create an amalgam, come together, create that mix, and forget all that stupid UWP labor workers, all them stupidness. Get rid of that and come together, as you just suggested, a united front.
A united front. That's how we have to build Dominica. It's pettiness and political sides. It's not working, Dominica. It's not. In every party, is a brilliant mind. Let's bring everybody together. Hello, talk to me on the telephone, yes?
Matt, it's me again. I'm trying to make a point, man. And the point is that when you have these kinds of mentalities, it's not that I want to get into personality, but how do you get around it?
Well, I'm telling you, give him a try. Let's find out what's going on. Let's not be negative this afternoon there, okay? Let's dismiss the idea this is not going to work. We have to get together, Dominic. We have to. And the kind of reports I'm seeing all over the world is not sending a good picture. This morning, the EU was making a decision to bid visas on CBI countries. Come on. Hello, talk to me on the telephone, yes? Yes.
Hey, Mark.
Yes, yeah. How you doing?
Many times, blessed day to you.
Yes, I.
And to the listeners. Mark, how many times has that gentleman handed out olive branches to the nation, to the opposition?
Many times. Many times.
Many times. Mark, like yourself would sometimes say, the train has already left the station. These guys.
So you don't want to give him a last chance?
A last chance?
Just give him a last chance. Let's see what happens.
That is Esquamal Papai. Give him his last chance. And we'll see what's going to happen.
All right, my brother. Thank you very much. I'm saying the last chance he has to invite everybody around the table, huh? Mr. Skerritt is listening. Hello, talk to me on the telephone, yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
I would like to find out if you have any bathroom in the place.
Bathroom? From what I gather, there's one bathroom. Yeah. Thank you. I may be wrong, but based on the prisoners, if you went to those who were in the cell recently, I don't think there's a separate bathroom there. I'm gonna leave you with this one here. Think about it. Fighting each other is not gonna go. It's not gonna end well, huh? We all want the same for Dominica. I'm getting a lot of text messages. Skerritt must this, Skerritt must that. If you feel you want to tell Mr. Skerritt to let his people go, that is your solution. The people want a general election. The ball is now in the police and the Dominica Labour Party's court, huh? Mr. Blackmore? I haven't heard you in a while, but that's common sense prevails, sir. It's not sending the good picture. A united front for the liberation of Dominica. United for one cause. The Dominica Cancer Association is having its annual general meeting tomorrow. 9 a.m. at the UE Open Campus audition, okay? And that's the Dominica Cancer Association. 44930. A lot of people have been trying to call me, but let's be real. Let's be real. It's 3 o'clock. I hope we can end on a positive note. Somebody's on the telephone. Hello, talk to me, yes?
Good afternoon.
Yes.
You talk about olive branch. King has said many times, I will come through. When you play with conman and extortionist, you get trouble. That's
You can sit from stand. There is place from the Father of creation. Yeah. One. Let's get together and be Lord. I'm sleeping till I'm gone.
Somebody says he's the one fighting those who love Dominica. The man in charge of Dominica does not love Dominica. You see how many comments I'm getting this time? Oh boy, we haven't stopped here. Flow Dominica in a minute. Here's the comment I'm going to end with, and I think it's a very good comment. No political party should have to be extinguished in order for Dominica to move forward. All it takes is for these men to put aside their egos and come together as a unified force. That is all that is required. Too many egos. Put aside their petty differences and put country first. And I endorse this message. It's time for Flow Dominique. I'll be back on the radio tomorrow morning. You know how we do it on the Saturday, huh? Join us then for more gospel and inspiration. Time to join Flow.
Flow asti woul en communauté ou obe alawia pa paix. Vini pour quitter travailler Flow ba ou bon service professionnel. Magasin Flow asti woul, n'importe place, n'importe l'air. Ka vini a pala potu. Flow ka vini tout suite a dan en l'occasion tout pwe.
The new Flow Store on Wheels is here and ready to serve you. We promised you innovation and we have delivered.